Well, welcome back, you beautiful Spuds. Hey, I'm excited to talk to you about my last video I posted. So here I'll show you a quick image. I've kind of always had big dreams to write a book one day, and with my years of DMing and I've been always making stories for as long back as I can think. If I go back even further, I used to write poems all the time, and the only real dig that has kind of kept me from really doing anything with it is I'm kind of horrible at language skills, and that was my weakest subject in school. And while I don't think I'm horrible, I've been told my sentence structure, run-on sentences, spelling, it's a little bit of a lackluster, and has been pointed out to me over and over again. And I struggle. I've had people joke with me about how the most basic words I can completely switch around or spell wrong, but then when you come to bigger or more complex words, I can spell them easily and without a problem. And then they're like, what the heck? You spelled this word, but you can't spell this word? And I'm like, I don't know. My wife is always kind of quick to judge and telling me that my sentence structure is really bad. And that's kind of where I'm kind of also talking about my last video. In this video, I labeled it as a rough draft because I sent the first chapter of the book. Well, so let me back up. I wrote this. I have 12 chapters wrote, and they've been wrote for 10 years. I just lost interest. It's really, I just hit a wall, and I just kept putting it on the back burner, and I just never did anything with it. So I was kind of going through some old files on my computer, looking through an old hard drive I had, and I come upon some nostalgia, and I found some of my poems, and I found this book, and the book that I put a lot of time and effort into, and then I didn't do anything with it. And so after I read it, I ended up working on some modifications. I re-looked through chapter 1, saw 10 years later, I found several mistakes, and so I fixed them. But of course I'm not that great. So what I fixed is what you see in the video. What happened is I sent it to my wife in an email. She's a lot better at language than I am. And I said, hey, when you get a chance, could you look over it, maybe make corrections, and then we could sit down and talk about it. Well, life was kind of busy, and every time I asked, she kept saying she forgot about it, or it just wasn't the right time. So I just went ahead and didn't want to waste any more time and have it just slip my mind again. So what I did, I just went ahead, went through, and I recorded me reading it, and then I set it to a video, and I put not a whole bunch of hours, but a good amount of time into it. And then after I did that, I asked my wife if she would watch it and tell me what she thought. Well, she liked it. She told me that there was errors all over the place, run-on sentences, messed up this, messed up that, and she made a lot of corrections. So the two of us had a whole bunch of laughs, and we worked through it, and we rewrote the first chapter. It's mostly the same. Grammar and structure is better. I told her, well, I'm not re-recording. I already spent too much time doing this. I guess I'm just going to keep it as a rough draft. So what I released was the rough draft. It's slightly different now, but I had several spelling errors from words that I left off one letter, or I just wasn't paying attention. I switched some letters around. So she's fixed all of those. She had a panic-induced nightmare, but she got through it, and she ain't a professional editor or that, but she's a lot better than me, I would say. So the two of us refixed, so it's in a second draft, I guess you would say. For the most part, in my defense, I write like I talk, and I fear that most of my life I've been talking with run-on sentences and poor language skills to start with. So when I think and when I write, I put those into my writing, and of course I need revision after it's over to make it a little bit better than what I have in my head. So I don't know if there's hope for me, but my wife has told me that she is going to go and work with me for, I think, the rest of my book. And she liked it, so hopefully you guys can you can read it and let me know what you guys think as well. Me doing this is mostly I'm trying to force myself into finishing it. I have a lot of words, a lot of chapters, a lot of effort, 10 years and going, and I've done nothing with it. So my hope is for this to get many views. I'm not going to say it will, but I'm hoping if I can get enough positive feedback that it'll continue to force me to not only release the chapters I have, but to actually keep writing and actually get my butt in gear to actually finish this book, because I would love to finish this and have it under my belt, have a chance to say I have wrote a book, try to release it on Kindle. I think that's the easiest way to go without doing publication, and it could be digital. Make it only $5-8 or whatever, and see if I can get people to buy it on Kindle. And then from there, depending on how popular it is, again, these are all very bold and wishful statements. I have well aware of my limitations, and it just nothing might come of this, but I'm kind of hopeful. So it's just kind of like, if I can make up my mind, stay vigilant, maybe a dream of mine could become a reality. The fact that I've been doing this channel for over a year now, and I've grown from the few people I had to now, I think as of recording this, I have 174 subscribers, versus a year ago when I started, I had like 20 to 30. Who knows? I'm just going to put it out there and see where the wind blows me. Like I said before, I've been working not a lot on making videos for video games, because I've kind of like hit a video game snag in my life. I don't know. And I do this every once in a while. I've been fooling with my Magic cards a lot, and I've been playing Arena a lot, which is why I have this set to the background of Arena, as you can see, why I can have a chat with all of you, my fellow Spuds. But Magic is kind of what I've been doing, and with that, I don't know. I've thought about doing like maybe some skits or something with Magic, but I also feel like a cheat. Like I feel like I've seen so many skits with Magic that it just doesn't feel like it would be unique for me. It just feels like it would just be me adding another drop in the bucket of something that other people have already done better and with more comedy than I could do. And like most of my ideas of even what I could think of, like, ooh, that'd be a cool idea, I'm like, I literally got that from a video, so like, why do it? Like, I don't want to do that. But yeah, other than that, why I still got you if you guys are still here listening to me. The other day, I was at a friend's house, and we were playing some board games. And I wanted to shout out a game that I find very enjoyable. I really like it. I had to buy it, add it to my collection. Betrayal at House on the Hill. It's really a great game. I bought the 3rd edition. The 3rd edition, I would actually say, is so far my favorite. I had played both the version 1 and 2. I played version 1 the most. I only got to play version 2 a couple times. And I would have to say that aspect of the game is amazing. I really like the game. It has a whopping 50 different missions that you can get through just the randomability of the game, not only through the encounter deck, but also when you pick a blue card, depending on when you trigger the haunt, that'll trigger that specific mission. And really, my only gripe with the game is for new players, with the game having so many different missions, and the way you can trigger them can be somewhat surprising based on the situation. So you could be very overpowered as the trader or underpowered as the trader. And this has left me with, unfortunately, while I love the game, I have a jaded aspect of I feel like some of the game could be smoothed over. If some of the game was smoothed over, I just feel it would make it a little less gray, where you're put in situations that are confusing, and then immediately when you're in those situations, you've now divided the group. So one person's the enemy and the rest are on the opposite team. They're now the heroes, the survivors that are trying to win, by beating the bad guy or escaping. Well, now you have a problem where people don't want to divulge information that they're afraid is going to tip their hand. The more I've played this with people that are familiar with the game, people who's been the traitor before, the game continues to get more and more smooth and more, there's less conflict. But when you get that first time new player that's never been the traitor before, there has been problems where they don't know how they should proceed, but they also don't want to share their information because they're afraid they're just going to lose if they let everyone know the question that they got. Before I get too far though, just in case somebody has not heard of the game, Betrayal at a House on the Hill always starts the same way. You're going to pick a blue card, and that card is going to give a vague, but, well, maybe not vague, but it's giving you a general plot point on why all of your characters are headed to this haunted house. When you trigger the actual haunt later in the game, sometimes it doesn't mash up completely perfect with the way this is. That is something you do just have to kind of smooth over. You have to be able to write it in general terms so that the plot point can be flexible with these specific scenarios. Because if you was to do it any other way, it wouldn't be Betrayal at House on the Hill, which is about it being a random fun. We have no clue what this is going to be. If you was specifically doing a mission, it would be a very different game, and there wouldn't be the randomability of just not knowing. And I think that's the whole part of Betrayal on House on the Hill that gives it its uniqueness, gives it its flavor, is that you have no clue who's going to be the traitor. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how much of the mansion is going to be explored. You don't know what items you're going to have. You have no clue what you're going to have to do. You have no planning you can, because you have no clue if you're going to be the one that's trying to kill everyone or if you're the one that's just trying to get your butt out of the house and safe. So, with that said, the game starts with 3 tiles that always start. The entry hall, the upper landing, and the basement landing. The rest of the game is going to take place where you and all of your heroes starting on the entrance, and you're going to take turns moving your character and exploring the house, which you're then going to be pulling these tiles. And then what happens is when you go and explore a room, if you're in the ground floor, you're going to only grab a tile that has the middle part of their card that says ground. You can pull that, because this means it can be for any or whichever one is highlighted is where it could be. It could go. You're going to be revealing buildings. You're going to be finding items. Stuff is going to happen to you. This will cause you to draw an event card, and then you have to follow what the event card says. All of this adds up to where the actual unique story starts, and that's when somebody reveals this tile that has an omen symbol on it. Every time you reveal an omen tile, you have to make a haunt check roll. You're going to take however many that has been already pulled this game, and you're going to roll that many dice. These dice are 2 sides are blank, 2 sides have 1 dot, 2 sides got 2 dots. So you can't get a 5+ with the first omen card, and the second omen card will still only allow you to have 2 dice. With 2 dice, you can max get 4, so you're safe. The first 2 people to get omen cards by revealing a tile with an omen on it, the game does not change. It's still, everyone's on the same team. Everyone's just exploring and gathering their resources and making the mansion. When the third omen card is pulled, now there's a chance, if on the roll you get 5 or more, the haunt triggers. If you don't, then play continues, and it could be the 4th roll, the 5th roll, the 6th roll, though it's getting more and more likely that you're going to be able to roll 5+ and then trigger the haunt. Now, in the third version of Betrayal on House on the Hill, whenever you make a haunt roll and you fail, or succeed, I guess, and you get 5+, you then look at your blue card, and the blue card will tell you what is the omen card you drew. This is the scenario, and then it'll tell you who the traitor is. Sometimes the traitor is the person who triggered the haunt. Sometimes it's the person to the left or the right of the haunt. Sometimes it's another thing. The card will tell you, and then that's where the game begins. One person is given the traitor tome. The rest of the players are given the secrets of survival. Now, you are two separate groups with two separate goals. Only one of you can win. This is where I think some of the rules, the books themselves, and I don't know if I'm just nitpicking or this is just my critique. I think some of the rules are a little underdeveloped. Reading extensively through the rule book, I feel like the rule book could have just maybe a few more pages of just examples and a little bit more doubling down on like how stuff should go. They give you this very streamlined, quick, this is how this happens, this is how this happens. And I would love to have criticism if me and, I would say my group, but I would just say me, because it's my board game. I'm the one in charge of reading the rules and knowing them completely before you sit down with a group of people. Maybe I just have not read and understood, maybe the rule book is fine as it is, and it's my understanding that it's caused people to trip up. But I have found the examples to give players in the rule book to explain some of these, okay, what does this mean, are a little lackluster. And I just don't understand, this game company. And again, they've made an amazing game. I don't want that to be taken that I'm just trash talking. I love this game. This is an amazing game, but this is their third version, and this game has been on shelves for over 20 years. I just don't understand why. I feel like some of the just general stuff for newer players and for players, especially more rules for the traitor, because easy to have a think tank when you're playing with 5 people, a traitor's revealed. You have 4 people that can look and try to analyze and figure out and strategize what they need to do and what they can do with the rule book. But then you got the one person, they're all on their own. They got everyone against them. They're trying to now be the bad guy and win. And in a perfect world, that doesn't mean we shouldn't still help that person, but it's just information that they don't want known. I just feel the game could do such a better job by just a little bit extra effort explaining what you actually are able to do and not able to do. And I would also say that they have some amazing and great missions that I have played. But I have found, and this might just be the randombility of it, but I don't know, re-looking at them after the game was over, some of their missions, and maybe that's the whole point, is to show you that it's not supposed, so, and I don't know if the game ever says it's supposed to be evenly balanced, but I would think I want 50 unique and scary and cool adventures. But at the same time, I feel like some of their encounters, now of course, randombility, you can't contest for that. But some of their encounters, even when you count out the randombility, they just don't feel fleshed out enough. Like they feel underdeveloped, underwhelming, and a lot of the times they are horribly skewed to the heroes or the traitor. And then when you add randombility into the mix, there's a good chance that as the traitor in a scenario where you have your scenario is giving you so little balance of being able to win. Especially when the traitor always goes after everyone else gets a turn. So, and that's good, but that means the traitor automatically starts at a disadvantage. Everyone's going to get one turn to do everything they want to, and then they will go. So I can see, I guess my problem would be still, though, balancing to make sure that it is fair. And I don't know, that's again me, so this long-ass explanation video that I'm going on is really just me to to accent and re-pull back and just let you know that in no way do I think that the game is not playable, that it's not a good game, and that I would in no way tell you don't buy this game. Don't listen to me giving some complaints about it for you to go, oh, I don't know if I want to. It is, you will have an amazing time playing with your group of players. 3 people is the minimum you need. I would definitely say if you could get 6, it's perfect. 4 or 5 is, look, 3 to 6. I'm not going to over explain, but the more people I think is better. And that play group you got, I can't tell you how many great memories I have and how fun it is playing this game. This is a great game, even for new players, as long as you know what you're doing. No matter what my complaints are on some of the rules, this is a good way for you and your group to learn to talk through things and just figure out, and then just make your own ruling. If the rule book doesn't give you the great answer you want and you're still unsure, make the decision. I would also say that when majority is still a problem, like for players versus trader, or heroes versus trader, I should say, ultimately I think the board game owner should make the final call and make that your decision. If you're going to play this game with me, it's my game that I own. This is the rule. Just stick to that. Don't be impartial and change it down the line. Make a decision, and then that's your rule. With that said, I do the same thing, and so I have made a couple modifications to the game. And of course, if I'm going to implement those modifications, before we play, I will tell my players, hey, I have a modified version of the game, and really my game has not been modified that much, but I want to show you, after playing some of the missions, I've been able to go back through them, and since there's no surprise to me, I just reworked some of them. So I was just going to, since I've spent all this time talking to you anyway about it, I was going to show some of my modifications. I will say that these modifications, in no way am I telling you you should do the same thing, or in no way am I saying this is a better way to play the game than the original creators. I think the original creators, they know what they're doing. Clearly, they've made a lot of money from this. I'm just a guy that has enjoyed their product and want to keep their product a staple, and if changing some of their stuff to homebrew it so I can have fun with my own play group, so I can play more and more times without worrying about it losing its luster and then putting it on a shelf and never playing it again. I don't think they're going to care. I'm just not going to be out here telling you that this is the right way to play the game. This is just my way, and that's all this really is. And I'm just highlighting a game and promoting them, which I don't know if they really need promotion. But I just wanted to just talk about them because, like I said, I really like this, and I've been messing with stuff, and I'm going to stop talking and show you some of the other stuff, or what the modifications that I made. Alright, so starting off, I'm not going to show you all of them, but just the one that I wanted to highlight is, let's look at Intruder Alarm, number 23. It's triggered from the scenario card Cursed, and then you have to have the idol. The traitor is the haunt revealer, so the person who triggers the haunt. And it gives you this read first bubble. And one of the things that I find interesting, why there isn't a little bit more addressing in the book. So, under how to play after the haunt begins. Now this is where I find it interesting. So in the rules of play, it does make a very point that spoilers make the game less fun for everyone. So only read the selected haunt. So that's understanding. So then it goes into showing you that there can be no traitor, one traitor, a hidden traitor, or a free-for-all. And then it tells you how to start the haunt. And it goes into a lot of stuff, but one of the things it doesn't say is just how some of the orders of operations go. So for instance, it tells us that everything's secret until we use it, and then it's revealed. Let's keep that in mind. But here we have the trader's side, and here we have a message that says to read first. So it says read first, but it doesn't say if we should read it out loud. It doesn't say read out loud first, but now I'm, of course, assuming then this means I need to read it out loud, right? Because isn't that what that means? Because I also have a setup, and I'm going to have to put some of these tokens on the border as a secret. See, my group determines this as the introduction, and you have to read this. This is to be read. But now here's the question. Here we are in the heroes, or the other side, and we also have a bubble box that says read first with a setup. Okay, so we both read first, but which one of us reads first? Do I read my book out loud? Does the trader read his book out loud? Again, you can maybe just say just one of you reads and then the other one reads. But I just don't understand why there isn't clarification. Why can't one of these say read out loud first, and then maybe on the other one it says read this out loud after the heroes or the trader has read their section? It's just, I don't understand. Like, why isn't that included? Just a little bitty thing. So then, of course, each side has an objectives and tokens they need. This little bubble box is only to be, I mean, you can read it, but this is only if you win, and there's one on the other side for the trader. And then you have these actions in play. It's proceeded to have these little symbols that shows that they're a special action. So we read here that many items and omens are marked with the special action symbol. Each special action will tell you when and how it works, and special actions are always optional. So unless otherwise noted, you may only perform each special action once per turn. You may perform each special action available to you, but you may not repeat them on your turn. Meaning, I can turn the machine off, and if I'm on the same square as an on token, I can make a knowledge roll, and then if I still have enough movement, I can then also, once on my turn, wreck the house. So I can do these two actions, I just can't repeat them. And then at the end of my turn, if all machine tokens have been turned off and the number track is at 0, you win. Okay, so we find out as the trader that while the heroes are trying to turn everything off, trader wins when all of the heroes are dead. One thing that is interesting, though, is the robots that they get are not stunned when they take damage. Reading in the rulebook, we see that monsters typically had fixed traits. We saw that. And they cannot be killed typically. Instead, a monster that takes damage is stunned. Now remember that, because that means our robots cannot be stunned by physical damage. Instead, they can be stunned by other effects, but they cannot be stunned from physical damage. Meaning that if a player takes their turn and attempts to damage a monster, or one of the robots in this scenario, the robot, even if it takes 1 or 20 points of damage, it can't take that much. You should flip the tile over and it is damaged. Now, if we continue on here, some monsters are killed instead of stunned. Remove the killed monsters from the house. So reading this, a player could assume that if the monsters are not stunned, they would be killed. So here we have the trader's tome book telling us that these robots can't be stunned. We have the general rule book saying that if a monster isn't stunned, usually that means some monsters are killed instead. But the trader's book doesn't say that it's killed. It just says they can't be stunned. So that means, in effect, the monsters are impervious to damage, meaning if a player wastes their action damaging them, they only find out that nothing happens. So this is a conflict of interest, and there's nowhere in the player's handbook or the trader's tome that specifically says the robots can't be killed. It just doesn't say it. And that is my big problem with this mission, is it leaves this weird debate where the players are, of course, going to say, well, we want to be able to kill the monster. I think you're reading it wrong. It's saying you can't stun it because we can kill it. The trader says that they're going to get an amount of on-off tokens equal to the number of players. So for 3 players, it's 2, 4 is 3, 5 is 4, and 6 is 5. So let's say we're playing a 5-player game. So they would have 4 on-off switches, and we can see that you place a small monster token on each tile with it on. So that means the trader is going to start with 4 monsters. So ultimately, now that the game has been divided, there is going to be, of the 5 people playing, 4 good guys, 1 trader, and the trader also has 4 monsters. So the trader has the upper hand. They not only can attack with their own trader, with their own explorer, but they can also attack with 4 robots. So that's very powerful. And when the heroes see that by doing one of their abilities, they can turn off one of the robots and then never be able to kill a robot, that makes them think, I think you're reading it wrong. So then you relook at the thing. Robot assistants are not stunned when they take damage. Doesn't say anything about them being killed. And then it says on this little special action inside the bubble box for the robots, turn on the lasers. Choose any hero in line of sight. That hero makes a speed roll. Okay. Now here's another question that came up. Since this is a bubble box for robot assistance, but we know in the rules it says you can only use this ability once, but it says after your turn, take a turn with the robot assistants. If I have 4 robot assistants, do they make might attacks? And of course, their might is only 2, so they're going to most likely barely hit anything. And then do all of them together get one of these turn on the lasers? Or are all 4 of them all a part of the same action and they all can then... You only get to choose one, so one robot that has a hero in line of sight makes a speed roll. Or my bad. So one robot is picked, and then any hero in the line of sight of one of those robots, that hero makes a speed roll. See, these are very conflicting and confusing directions for me that aren't really addressed in the rule book. And I just don't understand why there isn't more explanation. It seems I could be on the side of the heroes, even if I was the trader, and go, okay, this sounds like you should also be able to kill robots, but then there are no way for the bad guy to make more robots, and with their might only being 2, that then implies that that can't be, because how is that balanced? All of the heroes should have an easy way. In one round of play, they could take out all the robots, possibly. It's not that they could, but could be a possibility in one round between trader to all the other players. They could easily kill all of the robots. So I just don't think that is how it's intended. I'm just very confused. Why have the special attack that the robots can do, But then it looks like the robots still have the ability to attack, but their attack is most likely going to be wasted. So you're going to have 4 almost pointless attacks. I mean, realistically, your speed's going to slow the players down, because if an enemy is in the same square as a explorer, the explorer then has to spend an additional point of movement to move out of the square. So of course, you're going to want to try to bog down your opposition with just sticking all of the robots in everyone's way, especially if you put them in a staggering line that where they have to step through a tile each time, making each tile 2 squares makes the terrain super difficult. And I could maybe see that as the purpose, is to really basically do that. So then I would almost say in that case, maybe they should have an additional rule that says to not even worry about the monster. If the monster can't die and the might is just there for a defense, because there's a chance while a hero is attacking them, they could actually whiff and the monster could hurt them, which is always a possibility anyway. So why are the robots getting 2 attacks? That seems unfair. They can attack on their turn, damaging the hero. And since the hero can't destroy them in any way, they're getting a freebie where, because if they could be damaged, or that would mean that they would be stunned, meaning that on or not on their turn, they could be disabled for the next turn, stunned. This just makes it very powerful. And then you have this speed roll, which could allow it with, and it's a 5. A 5. So you have people who are going to be bogged down by robots in their way, robots that can zip across the map with ease. And now you need players who need high speeds to try to get through them. And you're going to now make them make speed rolls. And what does it do? 2 dice of physical damage. 2 dice. Which means they're going to have to take it off of their might. Because if they take it off of their speed, they're going to literally make no progress whatsoever against enemies that can't die whatsoever. So, I'm done ranting. I just find this very problematic in many ways. I find that just a little bit more information could, and I'm not saying that if it's supposed to be hard, that's fine, but I just want more clarification. This brought me to ultimately make my own 23 trader page. And this is my first attempt. I probably will make more revisions. And if I have any grammatical errors, forgive me now. Unlike a smart person, I didn't double check any of this. But this is a pulled out version. Let's go in a little bit. And I added some artwork and some other stuff to make it not look bland, because I wanted it to kind of look exactly like the page. And of course, so this is my new and improved. I kept it the same. So as we can see, I have first start off, read first, out loud, for everyone. I changed a little bit of the introduction, and so after reading the introduction, which I just wanted to have a little bit more flavor for me and my party. So this was a me decision. This in no way you could keep the original. You could keep the original one, and yeah, I'll go ahead and put a snippet of it of what the original was under this one. And those were just for mine. I also put I had no clue how to say SYA, and trying to look it up, I had a very hard time. So and I don't even think I have the correct pronunciation, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Sila or Saya, maybe Saya. Uh, I'm not sure, but I just put that in just to help people, or just to help me know how to say it. Uh, and then, of course, after you get past that, we'll go down a little bit. And then I have a setup. It says you are the trader. Your turn is over after setup ends, which I just wanted to add in. Your explorer stays in the room you triggered the haunt in. I also have this in because that is a question that has actually been asked. Well, if where does my character go now? Do I go to a different location? I go, no, the book, you're going to stay in that location. So I just kept that like that. I added really something that's already in just the player, the actual rule book, that you place the monster card in the play area and the monster card in the play area after your turns. You heal all your traits back to green, keep any above. You place 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, this is in the rule book, but again, a lot of people want you to explain the game to them. And when you explain the game to them, they also don't want you to look at what their trader thing is. And I literally had a whole conversation with somebody where they're like, "How?" And it was during a similar thing to this. They're like, "How many of these? I don't know how many of these monsters I get, or how many of these tokens. Like, I don't understand." And so I'm like, do you have a little boldened, like, asterisk area that has, like, numbers with divides on them? And they're like, And I'm not trying to, like, they literally were so confused only to find out, and maybe I didn't give it, maybe I didn't say it in those good of terms of asterisks. I just asked if they had numbered numbers, like enclosed, but we had a talk back and forth and they had no clue, but they wouldn't let me look at it, only to find out that they just didn't know from the rule book that those asterisks with the 2, 3, 4, 5 mean that's how many you place if there's 3 players, and then the next one's 4 or 5 or 6. So I added that in to give a little bit extra thing. And I figured since I was doing it, might as well make it a little bit extra. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to add extra info just so your players aren't confused and they can reread and are like, oh yeah, I knew that. But at the same time, they're reassured I am doing it correct. And then place a small monster token on each tile with a circuit. This is where I got intrigued in changing this whole scenario. I thought that it was bland and overpowered, and I didn't like the idea that robots couldn't be destroyed. So, what I ended up doing is I put special actions, but I made an interesting spin to them. Now, there are 4 special actions that the trader can do. However, only 2 of these actions are able to be picked on each of your turns, as well as you have normal actions you can take as an explorer. So I have shifting rooms, which is basically a off-spin of the original Shift the Blueprint. I'll pull that up here real quick. I put in my own little flavor of that. The technology is shifting the rooms around, and then I explain you choose a tile that has a hero on it, move that tile to a different location on the same floor of the house. Then, if that causes any tile to become inaccessible by normal rules, then those tiles become wrecked. And in the case the tile is not touching any edges of another tile, then you move that tile in the best way to the closest edge. And then, of course, you ask if these wrecked tiles count towards lowering the track of the hero's objective. Again, they don't really know how that works, the trader, and so I want, that's how that in there. Now, in the original rules, it merely says choose a tile that that has a hero on it, move that tile to a different location in the same region of the house. This may not cause any tile to become inaccessible while normal movement. So in the original way, it's cutting out this whole thing. It just means you can't move a tile at all if it makes stuff inaccessible. I thought it'd be interesting to add in another layer that you have the ability to move any tile anywhere. However, you are, by doing that, helping the other side by wrecking the house that you're so hard that you are trying to not wreck. So it's kind of a two-edged sword. You have more options, but that comes with it better be helping you out ultimately, because you're now hurting yourself to move them somewhere else. Then I added three new things, of course. The second one is seal the doors. Gears make clinking noises and motors chug along. Each doorway to a room within the house is sealed shut. You choose a tile that has a hero on it, and you place a sealed room token on that tile. The heroes, you, and robots cannot pass into, out of, or through a tile with a sealed room token on it. Now that sounds pretty bad. And if you look at the original at the player's tome or the survivor's tome, it tells you that they have a special action that they can wreck rooms, but it's only rooms that have an omen symbol. And that omen symbol also means that room lowers the track and gets you closer to your victory, because once you wreck the desired amount of omen rooms in the mansion, you win. My small change is that this action, destroying a room, does not have to be limited to the omen rooms. This is also good to confuse the trader, because the trader doesn't know what rooms are being destroyed and what's the significance of them. So any room can be destroyed, and if the room destroyed is the omen, then it lowers the track, which of course then would reveal most likely why the room is being destroyed. But at the same time, that then allows the heroes on their turn, if a sealed door has been placed on one of their tiles, locking them in, they can take their action, their special action, to wreck that room, removing that sealed room tile, that sealed room token. And now they can move like they were doing before. So I think it's a little bit more of a balance. So let's keep going. Let's go back to the third action. So then you got traumatizing room. So most likely in a situation, the trader might want to have picked 2 and 3, because 3 has no purpose without it being a sealed room. Traumatizing room says unbearably loud noises, scary images, and painful flashes of... Oh, wow. Yeah, so I already spelled. I put stroking lights. It's supposed to be strobing lights. Gosh. I'm just leaving that in. This is what I mean when I say I mess up simple words. That pierce your senses, making you feel like your mind could split. I should have put open. So this is a rough draft. As you can see, it's on my computer. I still haven't printed this out. This is a rough draft. You choose a tile with a sealed room token on it. All explorers within that room must make a sanity roll. And I just thought it's a nice little addition to some of the traits you can do. And then the fourth thing that the trader can do is you read hammering and banging is heard behind the walls of the house. A metal cabinet built into the wall makes a beeping noise, and after a while, a new robot emerges from behind the opening. Choose a tile with a circuit on-off token on it, and add another small monster token to that tile, flipped on its stunned side. This robot can be used next turn. So those are the 4 actions. Of course, the objective stays the same. You win when all the heroes are dead. They seem unwilling to have their brains scooped out. And then I got a little, not secret, but stuff you might want to know about the heroes. The heroes want out of the house, but don't worry, they can't break down the door, so you don't need to stop them from escape. Instead, they plan on wrecking the house, ripping out circuits, and then destroying Sela. You must stop the heroes from doing this at all costs, because if they bring the track down to 0, then Sela will be shut down and they will win. Wrecked rooms have no symbols, no effects, and have doorways on all sides. And to make this even better, using an AI image, I went ahead and made a wrecked room doorway tile. And I will have these printed at some point. I'll probably put them to some cutout cardboard. They're not going to feel exactly the same, but I'm going to try to make them good enough that I can slip them over or just sub out the tiles for these wrecked room tiles. This is a lot of extra pieces for just one small scenario, but at the same time, this is just for me and I'm having fun. I want this game to last for a while, so if I keep modifying and adding stuff to each of the missions, who is that hurting but no one? It's not hurting me. I'm having fun modifying and changing and adding, pieces. Like, the game, there was with 50 different scenarios, they wasn't going to include a lot of extra specific stuff to each scenario that's cost prohibitive. So I really like this doorway tile. Like I said, I'm going to print more out for it. And so that is what I have. That is what I have made for this. And like I said, I haven't completely finished doing the hero side for this mission, but out of all of the stuff I've messed with, and a lot of it is just in Word documents, because I haven't actually gone to the elaborate effort of making it look like a sheet out of the tomes. I just find flaws in some of the stuff. It is, and I'm going to tell you, this was a fun mission to play. It was a little chaotic because my heroes thought we could kill robots, and oh, also, if you didn't catch, I jumped ahead. Nowhere in this ruling does mention robots can't be disabled. And I actually want to modify I am modifying the hero side that when they hit a power switch, it can remove more than one robot because robots cannot be destroyed. We have one of the abilities saying that you can every turn possibly make another robot, but with robots having the same stats, I'm not changing their stats, with them having the same stats as originally stated, they're going to be stunned very often. Again, I'm going to have to, I have it on, uh, I'm going to make the sheet, but they're going to have the same stats. They're not going to be able to be killed, but they will be able to be stunned, and their laser attack is going to be removed. I think it's too overpowerful. I don't think they need to have the laser attack. I think swarming the enemy with little bitty attacks, constantly forcing them to run around while at the same time the traders explore can still fight, can still try to kill you. I don't think a laser attack is needed. And so I've completely removed it. Now, that's just for me. You can go ahead and play this mission exactly how it is, and I'm not going to say that at some point this was just something that I thought was interesting. But yeah, that's how I have this, and it was just my little sharing with you. I would love to hear in the comments of how horrible you think my opinion is, and I would love to hear if you think you agree with some of the stuff I'm saying. I will restate, I think it is an amazing game, and I love playing it, and I am no way even close to playing all 50 missions, and I look forward to playing all 50 missions, but I also look forward to fucking with the missions after I play them as the game maker intended, which sometimes is a little underdeveloped and it's frustrating and confusing, and you don't know if you're playing it right or not. And that's the beauty of it. And then afterwards, I can go back through and go, I'm going to change some of this. All right, I think I've wasted enough of your time, enough of my time. I'm going to just leave it at that. Thanks for hanging out with me, floating with me down this potato stream. If this was boring, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just a boring person. I don't know. But look, you beautiful spuds, I hope you have a great day. Now, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Later.